Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Dani. In today's video, I'm finally going to show you how to crochet the Riverbed Cardigan. This is the junior version, and in this video we're going to be making the size 2T for toddlers, and on my blog you will have all the sizes available from 2T all the way up to 12 years. So be sure to check that out, and please follow this video tutorial along with the written instructions, whether that's on my blog or if you want to purchase the PDF pattern. Follow along with the instructions because sometimes we go a little bit faster and it's always good to have the written instructions. All the links are going to be in the description box of this video, and without further ado, let's get into today's tutorial. So if you have already made the adult version, you already know everything, but if you are new to this pattern, we're going to be using a worsted weight yarn. This yarn, it's called Color Theory by Lion Brand, and I'm going to be using the exact same colors that I used for the adult version. So we're gonna start with the back panel, and we are going to begin with the ribbon of the back panel. For the ribbon, I'm going to be chaining 9 to have 8 stitches on the ribbon. Then we're going to move to the 2 front panels and finally the 2 sleeves. And all the panels are going to be crocheted in the same way. Okay, so once you have the hand of the back panel, then you will be able to crochet all the other pieces with no problem. So for the ribbon, as you seen in here, I'm going to be inserting my hook in the second chain from the hook and start with single crochet all the way across. For the next row, I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and I'm going to be working in the back loop of the stitch only, and right in the very first stitch available. You're gonna continue crocheting single crochet in the back loop of your stitch only until you get to the last stitch. Once you get to your last stitch, you're going to crochet this one, inserting your hook and grabbing the whole stitch. In here we're not using the back loop, it's the whole stitch. That's to give more shape to your ribbon. For the next row, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and repeat. Single crochet in the back loop only all the way across until you get to the last stitch, and in the last stitch you're going to do a normal single crochet. And you're gonna do this for a total of 53 rows. Again, I'm doing the size 2T, so it's gonna be different depending on the size that you're making. And now we're going to be working on the top of your ribbon to start crocheting the back panel. And as you can see in here, in between each of these bumps, we have 2 rows. So that's super important to know. In between each bump, we have 2 rows. So you're going to cut your yarn and bring the new color. The color sequence that we're using, it's also gonna be available on my blog. And we're going to insert our hook here in the very first row that we have. Bring your new color, and you're going to chain 2, and each chain it's going to count as 1 double crochet in every single row. So now we're going to go in the next stitch. Remember, in the next row, remember that between each bump we have 2 rows, so you're gonna double crochet in each row available to create the new row of stitches. And because we had 53 rows for the ribbon, in here we should have 53 stitches. So that is also super helpful to know what the number of stitches that you should have. So double crochet all the way across, and before we get to the last stitch in here, before we make the last stitch, we're going to switch the color. And to do that, I like cutting the yarn, grabbing the new color, and in here we're gonna make a magic knot. And if you have never made a magic knot, basically we're going to make a normal knot with color B on color A, or in this case the white color on the pink. So we make a knot in here, and then the pink a knot on the white. Tight, very hard like this, super hard. And now we're going to pull both yarns, and the knots are gonna meet in the middle. Pull really tight, and then you can cut the excess yarn. This is called the magic knot, and it's perfect to join two colors. It's a very secure knot. I use it all the time. So now we can finish the row. In here I have 52 stitches, so I'm gonna make the last one to have 53. Again, the number, it's gonna depend on the size you're making, so be sure to check that out on my blog or the PDF pattern. So here I finished. I have my 53 stitches, and now I'm going to chain one, turn your work, and we're gonna work the block stitch. So in between the first and the second stitch, I'm going to make a single crochet, and we're going to chain two. You're gonna skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in between the 2 stitches you're going to make your single crochet. Then you're going to chain 2 again, skip 3 stitches, and in between you're going to make another single crochet, and you're gonna repeat this all the way across your row. If you made the riverbed blanket, you already know the stitch repeat, the sequence, so that's gonna be super easy for you. And if not, I also have the crochet diagram on my blog available if that's easier for you to see. So now we're gonna cut the yarn and bring in the new color, and once that is joined, we're going to make the last single crochet goes in between the second last and the last stitch. Then you're going to chain 2, turn, and now for 3 rows we're going to work the granny stitch. So the granny stitch, it's basically 3 double crochets in one space. We have the 3 double crochets in the chain 2 space. Now we're gonna move to the next chain 2 space and crochet 3 double crochets again in that space. And you're gonna continue doing this all the way across your row until we get to the last stitch where we're going to switch the color again. So we made it to the end, and we have 1 double crochet to make, but before that we're changing the color again. Remember that the color sequence will be available on my blog and in the written pattern. So now we make the last double crochet to finish the row. Now we're going to chain 2, turn your work, and now in between the first and the second stitch you're going to make a double crochet. Now you're gonna go in between the clusters and make 3 double crochets again to continue with the granny stitch. Move on to the next space and another cluster or another group of 3 double crochets, and continue doing this until you get to the end of your row. Now when we get up to the end of the row, we need 2 double crochets in here, so I'm gonna make 1, and before I do the last one I'm going to switch my color. So cut your yarn, bring in the new color, and crochet your last double crochet. For the next row we're going to chain 2, turn your work, and in the very first space we have in here we're going to double crochet 3 to make the first cluster. go to the next space and double crochet 3 again to continue with the pattern. And then repeat the sequence of 3 double crochets in each space until you get to the end of your row. Once we get to the end of the row, we have 1 double crochet to make, so we're going to switch the color, and in this last space in here we're going to make a double crochet on top of the stitch from the previous row to finish the row. Now for the next row, we're gonna repeat the sequence. So this is the repeat sequence. We start with 1 row full of double crochets, then the single crochets, and then 3 rows of the granny stitch. So for the following row, we already finished the sequence, so we will make 1 double crochet in each stitch available. So this one counts as 1. We go to the next one and double crochet. Go to the next one, double crochet. Go to the next one, double crochet, and repeat the sequence all the way across. And then you would continue with the sequence. The next row would be the single crochet with the 2 chains, and repeat all of that until you have completed 26 rows for the back panel. And now we're going to start with the front panel, which is a small portion of the back panel. It's basically the same thing, just smaller, so it's gonna go even faster. So we're gonna repeat the same thing for the ribbing. We're gonna do 9 chains, then single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and work your way down with single crochets until you get to the end. And for the front panel, you are gonna have 20 rows. That's it, just 20 rows to create the first panel. And once we have the 20 rows, now we're gonna continue repeating the same thing we did for the back panel, but just smaller, just like this. So in here, the first row, because we had 20 rows, we should have 20 stitches. Again, we're working with the size 2T. It's gonna be different for each size. So now continue making 1 double crochet in each of the rows available in here until you have a total of 20 stitches. And then continue working the exact same way as we did for the back panel with completing 26 rows. And of course, you're gonna have to have 2 panels. So this is my second one. I already finished the first one. So here I have my 2 panels. So I have my back panel and then the 2 front panels. So this is how it should be looking like. So far, we don't have a wrong and right side of the panels, but now we're gonna sew the back panel and the 2 front panels. So that's gonna tell us which one is going to be the wrong and the right side of the cardigan. And then every time we're sewing a piece, we have to do it from the wrong side. And in here I have aligned my back panel with my front panel. In this case, it would be right side facing each other, and we're gonna join the top. And you can use in here whatever method you prefer. You can do it slip stitch, single crochets. You can use your tapestry needle like I'm doing in here, and just doing whip stitch, whatever you want to join the back panel and the front panels. Once you're done, make a few knots and then cut your yarn, and you have one panel already attached to the back panel. Do the same with the other panel, and now we have to work on the sleeves. So this is how it should be looking like so far. And remember that now we do have a wrong and a right side. So the sleeves are gonna be the same thing as we have been doing right now. the same color sequence, the same pattern, same everything. The only thing that's going to change is the ribbon and the numbers of stitches that we're putting on the ribbon. So pay attention to that. To work the sleeves, we are going to begin with the cuff, and it's the same ribbon sequence. The only difference is that this cuff or the ribbon section is going to have 6 stitches, so we have to have 7 chains, and then in the second chain from the hook you continue with your single crochets across for a total of 6 stitches. This is for the cuff only. So once you do that, you're gonna continue working all the way up until you have completed 24 rows of the ribbon. And in here, as you can notice, we did 1 stitch per row of the ribbon to complete the back panel. In this case, we have in here 24 rows for the cuff, but we need 44 stitches across. To do that, we're going to be placing multiple stitches in each space available to be able to get to 44 stitches. 44 is the number that we need to make the size 2T. Remember that you're gonna have a different number depending on the size you're making. So to do that, again, we're going to bring the corresponding color and we're going to chain 2. That's going to be our first double crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to, or the next space, we're going to be making 1 double crochet, and then in the following space or the following stitch and all the way across until we get to the last 2 stitches, we're going to be making 2 double crochets per space. This is just to distribute evenly all the stitches across so we can have 44 stitches. Remember that our cuff, it's only 24 rows, so we can have 1 stitch per row. We need multiple in order to achieve that. And again, you're gonna need a different number of stitches depending on your size. So it doesn't matter if you put 2 stitches or 3 stitches. What matters is that you distribute them evenly across the cuff. So here I'm putting 2 stitches in each space, and when we get to the last 2 spaces available, I'm going to be making my last 2 double crochets, so then I have my 44 stitches. And in here you can see that it looks a little bit wonky, and again, this is just because we need the cuff to be smaller than the actual width of the sleeve. So in here you're gonna see that we have a ton of stitches in here, totally normal. It's gonna get better as you crochet. So now to continue your pattern, you're gonna do the exact same sequence that we did for the back panel and the 2 front panels, same color sequence and everything, and you're gonna repeat these until you have completed 13 rows. So this would be row number 1, and then you're gonna continue all the way up until you get to 13 rows. This is for the size 2T. And because in here I have my last stitch, I'm gonna undo that and change the color, and then I'm gonna continue working the same pattern, the same sequence as we have been doing. Chain 1, turn, single crochet in the first space, chain 2, we're going to skip 3 stitches and single crochet in between, chain 2, skip 3. And the sequence in here, it doesn't matter, it's the same pattern for all sizes, even for the adult size. Same sequence, nothing changes other than the number of stitches and number of rows that we need. But it's the same sequence, same pattern and everything. So here we have 1 sleeve and 2 sleeves. And yes, as you can see, I made a mistake with the color sequence, so we have a different color for the second last row of the sleeves. Ignore that, please. Follow the same sequence, color sequence as I mentioned on my blog and the PDF pattern. But okay, we have the 2 sleeves. Now we have to attach them on the body of the cardigan. So we're gonna open the cardigan, and here we have, this is the wrong side because we have the seaming from the panels facing up. So make sure to use whatever side you want as your wrong side, facing up, so you can attach the sleeves. And in here, it's important to put your sleeve right in the middle. If you want to measure it, you can do so and use stitch markers or locking stitches, whichever you have, to attach your sleeve right in the middle. And because we're using such particular color sequence and it's the same on the back panel and the front panels, it's gonna be easier to know where to attach both sides of the sleeve. Make sure your sleeve is not stretched like this. You do not want to stretch it. Keep it normal, flat as it is, and then pin your side, one of the sides. And because in here I can see that I'm pinning it on the pink row of a double crochet, I can even count the rows, then I'm gonna go do and put the same the other side on the same row, so then I know it's even. And then again, you're going to use whatever method you want to attach the sleeves. You can do whip stitch, single crochets, slip stitch, whatever you want, whatever's easier to attach your sleeve. And in here I'm using the color, the light pink. You don't see this seaming at all, so use whatever color you want. So here we have the two sleeves attached, and this is the wrong side. So we have the cardigan with the wrong side facing up, because now we have to sew and close the cardigan, the body of the cardigan and the sleeves. And for this part, I will recommend using thread rather than the yarn, because this seam, you will be able to see it on the other side. I did it with the adult version, and I can guarantee you is 100% better if you use thread, one that is a color similar to the one you use for your cardigan. This is just a dual duty, I don't know, it's just polyester or cotton, I can't remember. Regular sewing thread. And then you're gonna grab your needle and sew down your sleeve and then down the body of your cardigan. And in here I'm making a knot to make sure that the thread is going to be nice and secure. And then you're just gonna continue sewing down to make sure it is all closed up. Because it's thread, you can do it super close together and make sure it's very nice and secure. And just continue doing this all the way up the sleeve and then down the front and the back panel. Once both sides are sewn, then turn your cardigan right side out, and as you can see in here, it's nearly impossible to see the thread that you used, so highly recommend doing that. Now the last thing we have left to do is the collar of the cardigan, and I have a full dedicated video showing you how to make the collar, so I'm gonna leave the link in the description below, but I'm gonna show you in here quickly how to do it. And again, I'm not gonna do it super detailed because I have a full dedicated video tutorial showing you how to do it on this exact same cardigan, just the adult version. But let's do it in here very quickly. You're gonna turn your cardigan and you're gonna start working on the right panel. The right panel when your baby is wearing it. You're going to insert the hook at the very end of your ribbing, and you're gonna bring up the collar that you're using for your ribbon, and you're gonna chain 9. The yarn is attached, again, as you can see in here, attached at the bottom. And we're going to chain 9, which is the same number of stitches we have been using for the ribbon, for the back panel and the 2 front panels. Now in the second chain from the hook, you're going to make a single crochet, exactly the same as we have been doing it for the other ribbons. and you're gonna work your way down with single crochets until you have 8 single crochets and you get to the base of your ribbing. Once you get to the base, so you have your 8 stitches, you're gonna go in the next stitch available and you're going to slip stitch to join that row of the ribbing to the body of your cardigan. Then you're going to slip stitch again in the next stitch available to join the row that we're about to make for your ribbing. So now you're going to insert your hook in the first stitch and continue working single crochet in the back loop only all the way across, and when you get to the last stitch you're going to make your single crochet using the full stitch, not the back loop, as we have been doing it. So here I have stitch number 8, we do single crochet, then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and continue again in the first stitch, back loop only, and you're gonna single crochet all the way across your row until you have your 8 stitches. And when you get to the end, you're going to slip stitch in the next stitch available to join the row you just made. Oops, in here, and then you're gonna go to the next stitch and slip stitch again to join the row that you're about to make now. Turn, and now continue working double crochet, and you're gonna continue doing this all the way around for the collar. And in here the rows, the body of your cardigan, each row of double crochets will count as 2 stitches, and each row of the single crochets is going to count as 1 stitch. So make sure to keep that in mind whenever you are crocheting your collar. Again, the full dedicated and slow version of this part, like how to make the collar, I have another video, so I'm going to leave the link in the description of this video. But in here I have my 2 slip stitch, turn around, and then continue, and do that all the way around until you get to the other side. So here I am at the end. Now I'm gonna weave in the ends. Make sure to grab your tapestry needle and weave in the ends very well, and then once you're done with your cardigan, I highly recommend you throw it in the washing machine, and then the dryer machine. Obviously check your yarn label to make sure you can do that, but I'm using in here 100% acrylic, so that's wonderful, because then your cardigan is going to be so much softer, it's going to have that beautiful drape, and it's just overall better. If you cannot throw it in the washing machine because of the material you're using, you need to block it to have again the drape and everything, all the details and the texture and the softness that brings to your yarn and to your fabric. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Remember, you have all the written instructions and the patterns on my blog to make all the other sizes. I hope you guys enjoyed. If so, please give this video a big thumbs up, comment below if you have any questions, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!